Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official college football week number 6 instant reaction. We're already basically through 6 weeks. It's crazy. Let's kick it right off. Every single ranked game I'm going to be giving my quick take on, starting with the Michigan-Indiana Big Noon orgy. Of course, Michigan appearing on Big Noon basically every week. I would hate to be a Michigan fan. Big Noon is a total joke. There's about 70 commercials every minute, and Michigan wins this game 31-10. The game was tied at half. Michigan scores late, tries to make it look like they won convincingly when really it was a complete struggle. Now, if you are a Michigan fan, there is some positives, including your emerging pass rush led by Mike Morris. Very impressive, at least against these current offensive line. Michigan the past two weeks getting tremendous pressure. But guys, this Michigan football team, they don't wow me at all. They're ranked number 4 right now. I would have them behind Clemson. They're a solid, no-nonsense squad. They're coached well, but they don't have the talent to beat Ohio State. I'm very concerned about their chances next week against Penn State. I think it's going to be a very close game. 2 really evenly matched teams. That's, of course, the Big Noon game again. So Michigan appearing on Big Noon again. They beat Indiana. Really, it was a close game. They tried to make it look like, oh, we won by 21 points. That's not how it works. We saw the game. It was tied at half. It was a one-score game going into the fourth quarter. Major struggle for the University of Michigan. The next noon game, how about Tennessee beating LSU 40-13? And guys, LSU had one of, basically, I said this a few weeks ago, the worst possible play in college football. You're receiving that opening kickoff, you fumble, the opposing team gets it, so they basically get it to start the first half and the second half. LSU fumbles on the opening kickoff. Tennessee scores a touchdown right off the bat, so they're basically up 7-0 right away, and they get the ball to start the second half. But Tennessee, great win. We know they have major matchups upcoming. You've got a home game with Alabama next week, possibly the biggest game of the year, at least up until this point. And then a few weeks later, you're at Georgia. So Tennessee, we will see. I think for LSU, they had no business being ranked in the first place. They were kind of thrown a bone there, being ranked 25th, and they got crushed. I said last week, previewing this game, Jane Daniels is just not very good. And I stand by that, obviously. 40-13 Tennessee, possibly going to be moving up a few spots. Worst case, that'll be a top 10 matchup next week, Alabama and Tennessee. We've got TCU beating Kansas 38-31, kind of a weird game with Kansas's QB. He currently leads the nation in QBR, getting injured early on. Their backup comes on, throws 4 touchdowns, but TCU gets the win. I think TCU is going to end up losing 3 or 4 games in the regular season. I understand they're undefeated, but there is so much parity right now in the Big 12. Any team can beat anyone. And if you are Kansas, this is a heartbreaking game. You get College Game Day there. Your quarterback, your breakout quarterback gets injured. So unfortunate. It was a great effort. They ended up outgaining TCU by basically 100 yards, but they do fall short. 38-31. TCU is still undefeated, and I would say they're going to be, very likely a top 13, maybe 12 team after that win. The next game, we've got Mississippi State beating Arkansas. So, guys, I don't know what it is with college injuries. KJ Jefferson, we think he's perfectly healthy. All of a sudden, he's out. And that game kind of got ruined by KJ Jefferson being out. Mississippi State, Will Rogers, I think he set the SEC record for completions. I mean, the dude's throwing the ball so much. I always joke that Will Rogers is going to need Tommy John surgery. The guy throws 50 passes a game in that air raid offense, but he's only a junior apparently. So Will Rogers could be back next year for Mississippi State, and at that point, we're talking about his arm possibly getting amputated with the amount of throws. I mean, it's 50 passes every game for Will Rogers due to the air raid. But Mississippi State, the story here, no KJ Jefferson. Mississippi State gets the job done. They get the win. Got a kind of dicey, but Mississippi State was always up by 2 scores, and then they pull away and win 40-17. The big story here, the 2:30 game, Cincinnati struggling with South Florida. They end up winning 28-24, but they were 27.5-point favorites in this game. A lot of people think Cincinnati will be unranked. They were ranked number 24, and this is a very poor showing at home. Personally, I would have to look at the rankings and see. I'd probably honestly still rank them because I like Cincinnati, but it was not a good showing for them. Moving to the 3:30 window, we've got Georgia over Auburn, 42-10. So Georgia, very similar to Michigan, or not really. I'll give Georgia credit. They were in control of this game. I say it every single time. Auburn, they're a dumpster fire. They really are. They're not a competitive football team. They got crushed here. It was never close. They're starting a young quarterback on the road. You're going to get crushed. And that's exactly what happened, 42-10. I do not think Georgia deserved to cover, but they end up covering. It is what it is. And guys, we've just got to stop with this Georgia love. We're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Georgia's just not very good this year, guys. It's okay to admit it. It's okay to admit it. And it's like Stetson Bennett, his 5 minutes of fame are up. I've said it before. It's done. Georgia will lose the game in the regular season, and then they'll lose in the SEC championship. I'm sick of hearing about it. Every week, the same thing happens. Georgia underperforms, and then people try and make excuses for them. Their offense is not good enough. Let's stop ranking them first, because I know AP voters are going to rank them first again tomorrow after another bad performance. Oh, they crushed Auburn and covered the spread. Yeah, Auburn's a dumpster fire, folks. Come on, it's ridiculous. Oklahoma State beats Texas Tech 41-31. So Texas Tech really gave it their best fight. They actually outgained Oklahoma State in this game by around 100 yards, I believe. But Oklahoma State does end up winning 41-31. And it was a game where Texas Tech, I think, was up early 10-0. Really competitive football game. A lot of parity in the Big 12. But Oklahoma State, the number 7 team in the country, they hold serve. We respect the win. It wasn't pretty, but you got it done. You win at home. It's a 10-point spread. You win by 10. I respect it. I really do, from Oklahoma State. Next, the major Pac-12 games. And guys, what do I always say? Trust Chip Kelly. We got UCLA in the Rose Bowl in front of a sellout crowd. And guys, I'm going to proclaim right here, right now. I mean, we talk about the greatest coaches in college football history. It's Bear Bryant. It's Nick Saban. It's Joe Paterno. It's Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly is the greatest coach in college football right now. He's going to annihilate Oregon next week, and their whole collusion scandal is going to get blown to smithereens. This is crazy what Chip Kelly is doing. UCLA, I always say, guys, remember, everyone doubted me when I said UCLA was going to defeat Washington. I said, trust Chip Kelly. I always say that, and I'm saying it. I said it this full week. I did pick Utah to win. It was, whatever. We're not going to talk about that. Trust Chip Kelly. UCLA gets the job done. Thompson Robinson in the Heisman race. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a great Heisman race. And DTR has definitely entered it. 42-32. And Utah, nice yardage. I still think Utah is a really good team. I did say they were on a warpath. But guys, Utah, they gained a ton of yards. They lost their tight end to an injury. That's what killed them. And honestly, I'm surprised their defense played as bad as it did, giving up the 42 points. Next, we've got Ole Miss beating Vanderbilt. Guys, I'm going to say this. I'm going to make my bold prediction for tomorrow and for the rankings. I think Ole Miss will be unranked tomorrow. Let me just say, if I was an AP voter, which I should be, because I have more credentials than any current AP voter. Ask my fan base. I'm a known college football expert. I'm a college football expert, and I'm saying right now, Ole Miss would not be on my top 25 ballot. They play a disgusting brand of football. I watched every snap of this game, and Vanderbilt was the better team. They got unlucky. They end up losing. It's disgusting. Ole Miss, it's like Ole Miss beats an extremely overrated Kentucky team who just lost to South Carolina, by the way. And then they go to Vanderbilt, and they're getting their ass kicked in the first half, and then they come back and get a lucky win. I'm just sick of hearing about Ole Miss, man. How are they a top 10 team? If you're voting Ole Miss in your top 10, not only should you have your AP vote taken away, you should get your driver's license taken away because you're a danger to society at that point. Next, we've got my major upset call, guys. It's the Pac-12 team. Trust Arizona State football. Arizona beats Washington 45-38 in a fun game. I don't know what happened there with Emory Jones, but he was out. Their backup comes in. They get the win over Washington. Really good Pac-12 football here. And then we do have the Ohio State-Michigan State game. The Buckeyes winning 49-20. At this point, Ohio State is really just bored. It's not close. I actually think this final score was probably best case scenario for Michigan State, considering Ohio State stopped trying with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Michigan State got a fluke pick six. Michigan State got a touchdown drive that was aided massively by two 15-yard ridiculous penalties that kept the drive alive. And their third touchdown came in garbage time. The final score of this game could have been 78-0. It was a total mismatch. Michigan State can't defend the pass. They're a dumpster fire. Spartan Stadium was empty with 7 minutes left in the third quarter. Wow, it is ugly in East Lansing right now. Ohio State still not healthy. Mayan Williams is injured now. Trevion Henderson re-injures himself. JSN is still out. The corners back still suck. But you know what? The offense is just so good, it really doesn't matter. Ohio State ends up getting the win over Michigan State, and they cover that 27.5-point spread. The next game is going to be Clemson beating Boston College. Boy, the under certainly hit in this one, 31-3. So Clemson does cover that 21.5-point spread. I'll be honest, I give Boston College credit. It felt like they played hard, especially their defense throughout this game. Clemson, a very workmanlike effort. I like Clemson currently as like the number 4 team in college football. That's where I would rank them. They've got a few very good wins. They've got an impressive resume with a good defense and an improving, talented quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei. So Clemson, they get the win and they cover the spread on the road. Kind of a horrible ABC game for 7:30. I guess it's because, CBS had the primetime rights tonight. But either way, not a good game there. USC ends up beating Washington State. Very similar type game. USC covers the spread. Lower scoring game. Workman game for USC. We're all expecting USC to lose to a team that they shouldn't lose. Have a major upset. Obviously, I had thought this was not going to be it, and it was not it. Washington State, they got down early. They came back. They went ahead 14-10. And then USC closed the door, and they end up covering the spread. So very nice win for USC, certainly. Next, we've got South Carolina with the upset over Kentucky. Now, I should add the caveat. Number one, I've always thought Kentucky was overrated. Number two, Kentucky's starting quarterback, Will Levis, did not play. So you have to add that. But certainly, we're all very happy that this happened. Kentucky never should have been, I know they barely lost to Ole Miss, whatever. They should be unranked after this. They end up losing to South Carolina by 10 points at home. This was not a competitive game. They were down 24-7 in the fourth quarter. And that's going to be it for Kentucky, at least this year, in my opinion. I know their fans are going to say, well, we didn't have Levis, whatever. I didn't think they were very good before this week. That's kind of my issue, and now they lose this game. I'm done with them. Next, we've got Wake Forest over Army, 45-10. Guys, this game was a lot closer than the score indicated. Very evenly matched game, and I watched most snaps of it. I was looking at it. I was impressed by how well Army played. I did have Army plus the 16, and it was looking good. Wake Forest ends up covering, whatever, guys. I think Wake Forest is flawed. They can't run the ball. It's a major issue, and I talked to Wake Forest people. They're freaking out. They're worried. Wake Forest football is in trouble. They can't run the ball. They're undisciplined. They're poorly coached. Wake Forest, oh no. It's not going to end well for them this year. Next, we've got Notre Dame beating BYU 28-20 and really controlling this game. And guys, if I had an AP vote, Notre Dame would be in my top 15. This is a good football team. I said it coming into this week. I told everyone they were going to beat BYU. They were going to cover the 4-point spread. They easily do it. They outgain BYU by 200 yards. Everyone overreacts to Notre Dame losing to Marshall. Yes, it was a bad loss. They come back. They beat a really good California team at home. They crush a phenomenal North Carolina team on the road. and then they get this big win as favorites. Notre Dame is better. BYU was always fraudulent. I said the public opinion of BYU overrated them severely. When you look at the actual numbers and the actual metrics, they're about, the 50th best team in college football, not the number 16 team, which is where they were spotted in the AP poll. Next, we've got an extremely low-scoring game. I had this game at 20-18. It ends at 10-9. Kansas State does get the win. Iowa State does cover the +2. Really gutty win for Kansas State. If you're going to, be a really good team in the Big 12, you've got to go on the road in places like Iowa State and win those games. And Kansas State did do that, so I do give them credit for it. But I still think Kansas State, this is a gauntlet. This conference has so much parity. They're going to lose multiple games going forward. But it is a good win. And then Iowa State and Matt Campbell, that's 3 straight losses. That is a concern if you are Iowa State. We've got Alabama beating Texas A&M 24-20, not coming close to covering that massive 24-point spread that they had. Bryce Young not playing. I'm not going to kill Alabama too much. I will say at this point, it does. Listen, you can say it's because Bryce Young was out. They're still the number 1 team with Bryce Young. It just seems a little ridiculous to be ranking Bama number 1 after a 4-point win against a 3-loss Texas A&M team that really, they can't throw the ball. Haynes King is not good. He throws like a 3rd grader. And it just, listen, if I was ranking teams, I would go, and this is completely unbiased, I would go Ohio State number 1. I'd probably go Alabama number 2. I'd probably say Clemson 3. And then Georgia number 4. That would be my rankings. Just being a college football expert, being one of the top college football researchers in the United States, that would be my opinion on the situation. So Alabama does get the win. And listen, again, Alabama, I think, is a top 2, a top 3 team in college football. They have the most talented defense in college football, as far as I'm concerned, with Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, the secondary, Jordan Battle. And then Gibbs, the running back, is a great, and even their backup quarterback, I think, has kind of some Cam Newton qualities. Now, he fumbled a lot. He's young. It is what it is. They do end up winning, and we've got this. It looks like NC State is going to hold on, at least right now, to beat Florida State 19-17. So Florida State will cover the 3-point spread, but NC State, that's a huge gutty win at home. Lower scoring game. NC State gets it done, and we've got games going on still. We've got the Oregon game, and guys, it's disgusting what's going on. I said, the whole thing with Oregon and the collusion, and it's all mainstream now. It's all out there. Guys, there will be people going to prison from Oregon University. Oregon football, Georgia football, Missouri football, Texas A&M football. They're all getting multiple year bowl bans. That's all happening. That's all real. And as for Oregon, the lying, the collusion, the death threats against me and my fans, it's disgusting, and it must stop, and there will be people that go to jail within Oregon University. It's disgusting. And this slavery that's going on right now with Oregon and Georgia, I feel so bad. And I want everyone to pray for Oregon University. They are current massive sex slaves, guys. I don't want to talk about it, but to Georgia, it's, no. It's so sad. And guys, we got to pray. Hopefully they get out of it. Hopefully Chip Kelly. Guys, we need our Messiah next week, Chip Kelly. Let Oregon be free. Please, Lord. Please, Lord Chip Kelly, please. I just want Oregon football to be free again. They're being held captive by Georgia University and the disgusting collusion that happened week 1. And now, every time Oregon wins a game, Georgia gets bumped up more because it's a better win, right? That's how Georgia fans think of it, right? Guys, what's going on in college football? I can't even comprehend what's going on right now. I'm looking at this Oregon-Arizona game. I can't do it, guys. But that is going to do it for week number 6 of college football. My instant reaction. We've got huge stuff. We've got Michigan barely beating Indiana, and then their fans acting like, oh yeah, we won by 21 points. No, you didn't. Everyone saw the game. You struggled. You probably should have lost. You barely won. We've got, Tennessee with their major win. They've got their huge game with Alabama next week. We've got Cincinnati almost struggling and losing there against South Florida. Georgia struggling with Auburn, and then saying, oh, we covered, so it's all good. We saw what happened. We watched the game. It was ridiculous. Your quarterback can't do it. Stetson Bennett's 5 minutes are up, folks. It's done. Alabama wins a close one. It's kind of getting ridiculous, the idea that they're still the number one team. We see them struggle week in and week out. UCLA, trust Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly will rid us. He is the Lord. He is the Savior that will save us, and he will slay Oregon next week in Eugene. And it's going to be a massive blowout. I'm already predicting it. I already know it. Guys, I'm the one that said to trust Chip Kelly, and they'll be underdogs on the road. It won't matter. It won't matter. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.